Here comes a Ford to his inside. LaJoie, there be pushes on both sides. Custer goes to the outside.
And they crash. Hamlin gets turned into the wall.
Oh my gosh. Still green.
Can we just have one great finish from the Daytona 500? William Byron is your 2025 Daytona 500 winner. I think at this point, the Daytona 500 is no longer a special thing anymore. Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the Daytona 500. I didn't have much time to make any predictions for the 2025 Daytona 500 because of the Grammys and everything else going on in the process. The Daytona 500 is becoming a type of race that has that feeling where it feels like it's just like any other race. It does not have that spark like it had 20 years ago. For some reason, I was not feeling this Daytona 500. Lap 1, Chase Briscoe leads the Daytona 500. It seems like Fox never told us on what happened to Chase Briscoe. As I remember, I think he was involved in one of the crashes during this Daytona 500. Penske Racing was dominating this Daytona 500. Ryan Blaney led some laps. Austin Cedric was leading the Daytona 500. Joey Logano was leading. I really thought that Penske Racing was going to take the victory in this Daytona 500. Lap 11, rain comes. We barely passed 10 laps and the rain started to come in and NASCAR had to get the cars down pit road. At least 4 hours it took them to dry the track. To me, in my eyes, it looked like the track was drying. They said it was just a slight sprinkle. I don't think it was exactly a sprinkle. I think it was more than that. Fox was just not doing a great job of giving us updates on what was going on. Can we please stop showing children on the screen?
It's the man of the hour, the Rizzlers over here hanging out with Noah Gregson.
Who?
You got any girlfriends?
I used to.
How many girlfriends?
Like 4.
You used to manage 4 at a time?
Yeah.
Say Chris Myers, do the Riz face.
Chris Myers, do the Riz face.
You got a little mop thing there? I don't really do the Riz.
Are you serious, Fox? The Rizzler? I'm not going to drag an 8-year-old kid. It's not his fault. It's NASCAR and Fox that wants to promote this garbage. And I don't understand why Fox needs to do this. I've been saying this for quite some time, that Fox needs to stop. And they do this way too much. That was another thing that kind of bothered me during the Daytona 500. We had 2 rain delays. The first one on lap 11, they actually had to get the cars back on pit road because there was some more rain coming into the area. They had to cover the cars up again. I think it was more than 15 minutes. I'm thinking to myself, this is the worst way to start the Daytona 500. 2 rain delays in one setting. Lap 24, the Daytona 500 is back under green. Joey Logano wins stage 1. Unfortunately, it's not gonna go well for them in the later laps. Lap 63, Denny Hamlin spins, collecting a multi-car crash involving Zane Smith, Josh Berry, among others. Poor Denny Hamlin, he was going through a lot in this Daytona 500. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't really care for Denny Hamlin. He really has been through this Daytona 500 in the first couple laps. Lap 71 is a multi-car crash involving Martin Truex Jr. Jimmy Johnson actually went through this crash. During this crash, Joey Logano, for some reason, had some electrical problems. They had to go down pit road and fix the issue. Unfortunately for them, they went down a lap. In some case, I feel like NASCAR threw a fake caution just to have Joey Logano to get his lap back. It's kind of suspicious that NASCAR throws a caution for debris. They never even shown what the debris was. Elio Castroneves was involved in this wreck. This is his first Daytona 500. At least I thought he would finish in the top 15 or something, especially with the team that he's with, Trackhouse Racing. Unfortunately, they were caught up into a wreck that was not their fault. There was a lot of lead changes during this Daytona 500 as well. Corey LaJoie leading the Daytona 500. Bubba Wallace was able to lead some laps during this Daytona 500. It just seems like they were not able to hold the draft very well. They would be in the top 10, they would be in the top 15, they would fall back. They were not handling really well during this race. Yes, they didn't win the Daytona 500. They didn't even finish in the top 10 after being involved in a huge wreck. I'm also going to say this about Bubba Wallace. If they're not going to win any races during this 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season, this is not going to be good for them. Even Tyler Reddick had a better day than Bubba Wallace. With 15 laps to go, another multi-car crash happens in the backstretch. Joey Logano was trying to squeeze his way in. Unfortunately, he did not have enough room, and he was able to turn Ricky Stenhouse Jr. into Kyle Busch, collecting a lot of cars involved in this wreck. Kyle Busch was in the top 5 throughout the whole day. He really thought he had this opportunity to win the Daytona 500 until Joey Logano ruined his day. Ryan Preece had a very scary crash in the backstretch. Lucky for him, he was able to walk away without any injuries or scratches or anything like that. The way the car was tumbling in the backstretch, he clearly missed the catch fence. Thank goodness the car was able to be intact. This is a perfect example why NASCAR decided not to have the grass in the backstretch. After seeing the first flip from Ryan Preece, I don't blame Ryan Preece not returning to Daytona after this. This is the second flip he had at Daytona. We go to overtime with 2 laps to go. Austin Cedric leads the Daytona 500. I really thought that he was going to take the win in this Daytona 500, and he has been making a lot of very good decisions in this race. Cole Custer was also in the top 5 during this Daytona 500. Cole Custer gets a very good run on Denny Hamlin, and I thought he was going to be pushing Denny Hamlin for the lead. Unfortunately, he turns Denny Hamlin in the backstretch, causing a multi-car pileup in the process. This is where I had a problem with the Daytona 500. I do give NASCAR credit for not throwing the caution during the final lap. If it wasn't Hendrick Motorsports leading the Daytona 500, I would truly believe NASCAR would throw the caution flag on the final lap. If it wasn't Hendrick Motorsports leading this Daytona 500. I love Hendrick Motorsports. I was a huge Jeff Gordon fan. So seeing the number 24 car in victory lane with the orange and flames around it, that brings a lot of nostalgia back in the early mid-2000s. William Byron was mostly a top 10 car throughout this Daytona 500. I just did not see them winning this race. If it wasn't for Cole Custer turning Denny Hamlin on the final lap, William Byron probably would have finished in the top 10 or in the top 5. This has been happening with the Daytona 500 for at least a couple years now. William Byron won the 2024 Daytona 500 with a lot of controversy because NASCAR decided to throw the caution flag with a simple button. I don't understand this situation that NASCAR does this. They did this in the dual race. I think Eric Jones won one of those dual races and they gave it to Austin Cedric instead. I just don't like how the officiating has been going on with NASCAR. It feels like they've been picking favorites to win, and I just do not like that. Even though I'm a huge fan of Hendrick Motorsports, it makes Hendrick Motorsports look very, very bad. Here are the results of the 2025 Daytona 500. Your 2025 Daytona 500 winner is William Byron. Finishing second is Tyler Reddick. They had a very strong car during this Daytona 500. I'm not very surprised that they finished second. Finishing third is Jimmy Johnson. They did have an issue on pit road. They were able to climb back up into the top 10 and top 5. They even missed some wrecks as well. A very great run for Jimmy Johnson. He hasn't been in the top 5 for quite some time. Finishing fourth is Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe did lead some laps during this Daytona 500. Finishing fifth is John Hunter Nemechek. They were never talked about very much. They would show themselves here and there, but finishing sixth is Alex Bowman. They had a pretty decent run. They were not the strongest car during this Daytona 500. Finishing seventh is Ryan Blaney. I'm very surprised that they finished in the top 10. After being in that huge big wreck, I don't understand how they finished in the top 10. That makes no sense. The car looked like it was very destroyed. Finishing eighth is Austin Cedric. He was part of that wreck on the final lap until Cole Custer decided just to take him out. I just did not like how this finish happened during this Daytona 500. I think if I was Cole Custer, I would have just pushed Denny Hamlin to the lead and then made my move afterwards. Finishing 10th is Chris Buescher. They were there and all of a sudden they just disappeared out of nowhere. So that is your 2025 results of the Daytona 500. I'm not really thrilled on how this Daytona 500 finished. This is a perfect example why I do not care for the Gen 7 car. It will take nothing for the slightest bump to get somebody turned into. And I do understand that you have to be aggressive. You have to go up there as quickly as possible. Time was a factor. It didn't matter if they had to run over somebody just to get that position. I'm just not really thrilled on how this Daytona 500 finished. It's either somebody turning somebody on the final lap or some situation that NASCAR will have the Daytona 500 finish under caution.
The Daytona 500 is a microcosm of the sport in general when it comes to how we crown our champion now as well. Feel like we've lost that. It's just a matter of wrecks. We want it to look good on TV. We want you to think that they can pass, but not that they can actually pass. The entertainment of it has far overtaken the sport of it. You will hear all week from media, that's just super speedway racing. And all that is a cop-out for those who make stupid moves. No one holds anyone accountable anymore.
I know that people will say, well, NASCAR didn't throw the caution. You should be at least happy because of that. But still, if it wasn't for Cole Custer turning Denny Hamlin, I think we could have had a very fantastic finish towards the end. I wish we just had a very exciting finish to the line, and we never even got that. If you guys want to see more videos, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and comment. Take care, guys.